are you turning your camera on?
What's up?
How are you?
Fantastic. How are you?
Good. Are you where's your pretty face?
I just got back from door knocking. So yeah. Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
I'm here.
Okay. How you doing, Vasily?
Oh, you're on mute.
Yep. How's it going?
Good, good. See how I distract my camera to Vasily?
It's called deflection, Kevin. I'm not new. Vasily, how are you? How's your wife doing?
Good. I mean, considering the situation, we managed to take her parents, I mean, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, out of Ukraine. So at least that's good. Everyone's doing good so far. Hoping for things to get better.
Wow. Awful.
Yeah, it's sad and scary, but just I don't know. It's become such a daily thing now lately that I got so used to it that is to some extent it's scary how you get to the problems that are happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, well, I'm glad your family is safe.
Me too. Hopefully if everything is okay, I think they'll be United States within the next 2 weeks.
Oh, good. Well, if you're finding that, they need help with something or like, let me know. Like if there's anything we can do to help, please let me know.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Moshe.
Hey, what's
Or
up?
afternoon. It's afternoon.
It's afternoon.
Good morning, Samantha, or good afternoon, Samantha.
Hi.
Tim O'Neill, how are you doing?
Tim O'Neill's doing fine. There we go. There I am.
It's great to see you.
What the heck you been doing besides giving classes?
Yeah, just, slumming it and renting.
Oh, I get it. I get it.
All right. So we'll get started in about 2 minutes.
Hey, Moshe,
Hey, what up?
what have you been doing, guy?
Oh, recovering from ankle surgery.
Oh, really? Would
Yeah.
you kick the dog again?
I tried to chase you and kick you, and that's what happened.
Oh, well, see, I thought it was funny when you slipped and fell, man. That was hilarious.
It's looking good, though.
So I'm finally going to learn how to do a listing presentation.
Took you long enough.
Yeah, I mean, it was 36 years in January. How long have you been doing this, Moshe?
Almost as long as you. I think I came in after you.
I think everybody came after. I think the Sphinx came in after me.
Eons ago.
Albie just had his 39th anniversary last week.
Who?
Albie?
Oh, Albie. Yeah, he's been here longer than me. But I think Wilner's been here longer than me. Saul, obviously. But I can't think. Was John Cassard? Would he come in?
I think it's around your time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Albie were right neck and neck with when John started.
And Janice actually is longer than John, right?
Oh, I didn't know about that one.
I think so.
Huh.
Because I think that the way it went is that Janice is the one related to Saul,
Yeah, cousins.
cousin. So she started and then John probably followed suit, but I don't know. I don't want to start
Famous.
an inappropriate rumor there.
Yeah,
I'll hit 30 years in June.
Gosh, I can't believe that. The Renton office by the airport. Do you remember that? That's where you started.
No, I started in Skyway.
Were you,
Yeah,
were you in
Skyway, that's
Skyway?
where.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, Juan Reyes and John Young used to sing every morning when I'd walk in.
Gosh, now that's an Ezel's chicken.
Yes. All right. Okay, we're gonna get started. And I apologize if I look off. I have to admit people. So thank you guys so much for coming. I love doing a listing class coming into the spring market just because it is so relevant this time of year. And you know, a lot of brokers, you know, it's easy to work with buyers, right? Because they don't have to pay commission. And when you're working with sellers, it's so important to ask yourself, you know, if it's a $750,000 house, that's a $45,000 commission. Are you giving a $45,000 presentation? So it's just a really give you a little bit of perspective. So for a few minutes, let's jump off of mute. And I want to know what you guys really want to learn about today. What is your hope to take away from this class?
I think the biggest one would be objection handlers, and that, of course, now with the market being so hot and there's so much competition, there's so many agents out there cutting their commission. There's so many agents out there who, oh, well, this guy will do it for a heck of a lot cheaper.
They didn't like your comment.
Yeah, for somebody in China didn't like my comments.
All right, so
No,
cutting
but
commission.
that's what I was thinking would be the other thing here is, of course, you know, when you've been in the business a long time, you have a tendency to get into a rhythm of and not changing with the market. And at my stage of the game, of course, most of the listings that I take are people that, you know, I sold them their house back in 1995, and so now they want, so they're not even interviewing any other agents or anything like this. But when I'm in a competition situation, what are other people doing? I guess that's what it, so what are other people doing, and objection handlers, around the usual thing of commission, because there's so many people out there who are starving. We've never had to fight for inventory like you have to nowadays, because there's no freaking inventory out there.
Mhm.
And so I don't even want to work with buyers, because you got to write 39 offers but at the same time, this is no, anyway, those are the two main things. How is the John L. Scott listing?
Oh, you
It's
did?
day 13 by 6 instead of day 13 by 4.
Oh, look at that hair
So
color.
Who's not?
it go farther,
Muted.
like you get it.
Oh,
deeper.
deeper. Okay. Oh, it's so pretty.
Hey,
Look at-
whoever has that background noise, can you please mute? I'm not sure who it is. There we go. Thank you. All right. No, I think that's all very relevant, Tim. Anyone else? Anyone else have something they really want to take away from this class?
Shy. It's been a while since I've done a presentation with someone other than people I know.
Mhm.
So really trying to get back into utilizing the full listing presentation format, or like even walking through the front door, because I'm so used to my clients and they're used to me that I know there's things that I used to do that I no longer do. And so just walking through the step by step of what, I should be doing. And then the other part is, even with my clients, they're calling now and they're asking, about, what is your commission? And of course, you try to hold them off to show so that you can show them what you have to offer. But my one client today, I think their house is going to be like a $1.5 million house. And they're getting postcards from these other agents going, well, they're offering 1%. So that's quite a bit of money in our pocket if we go with them. So I think having a list of our unique selling propositions, again, if I could get a copy, I know we had something like that, but also how to present ourselves so that we can show why we're not a 1%er.
Okay.
So I guess with all the changes in the industry, as far as the move towards more tech and more virtual resources, what other people have added into their listing presentation that wouldn't have been in there 2 or 3 years ago?
Okay.
I would like to know, basically from A to Z, when you talk to a client, to reassure them how we're going to market their property and make sure that they know that it's going to be everywhere. So
Okay.
just give them a list of, this is what we're going to do for you. This is how we're going to do it for you.
Perfect. All right.
And
So oh, go ahead.
For me, how do you prove yourself? Because I'm a new agent, how do you prove yourself of value, and how you can kind of inspire that confidence to the seller that you can get the job done just as well as or better than the most of the agents? So that's kind of my point, just because I missed on one opportunity, and I think it was because I didn't have the experience or the track record to prove it. So how do I step forward and show that I actually have what is needed to get the deal done?
Okay. Awesome. All right. So we're going to go through a lot of things. We have a lot of different experience levels on this session. Okay. So we're going to start right from scratch. But something I do want to point out, because, I built my business on my database and referrals and that type of thing. I am a firm believer, though, that even with your best friend that might be selling their home, you have to bring your A game. That means on every appointment, you should bring all of your bells and whistles, because you're going to get that deal from your friend. However, I want that friend to refer me more business. So if I bring my black box and my seller guide, I might not go through it all like I would somebody that I don't have a relationship with. But I think up in your own game for yourself to bring your A game, regardless of who you're meeting with, is very, very important. So I'm going to just put that out there. So first, we're going to talk about what matters, okay? And what matters is your knowledge and that they trust you. That is 2 of the most powerful components. You can have a not so great agent have a really awesome presentation with all the bells and whistles and all the frills. But if they don't hear your confidence, for our newer people, if they don't hear your knowledge, that will impact their decision. When you're bringing all of these pieces of the listing presentation together, and we'll talk more about this, but all the pieces will contribute to your value and the 6% commission. So don't look at it as one conversation about commission. You're walking in the door with value right from hello to get a full commission on something like that. So first, we're just going to start with, do you know your tools? Okay. Oh, and it's up here. Hold on one second. So you're all going to hate me for doing this, but my favorite tool is having supply chain issues. So I'm just going to throw that out there if you don't have any. So number one is, are you using a black box? Okay. There's two kinds of black boxes. Okay. There is Exceptional Homes and there is just the plain black box. Okay. Plain black box is like 20 bucks. Exceptional Homes is about 100. Now, if you plan on being a great listing broker, I highly suggest you use an Exceptional Homes black box and you spend the time to customize the pages. You can customize each page for 29 cents. So Rashay Boston, for example, all of her listing presentations are done with an Exceptional Homes black box. All that means is that when you open it up, there's a binder. And there was no way for me to screen share this, so I apologize. But there's a binder with pages already in it, okay? Now, it doesn't have to be a luxury home. You can make the pages whatever you want. But I'm willing to bet money that if you're up against Compass or EXP or Windermere or Berkshire, nobody's walking in with a presentation that looks that high level. Or if you just want your plain Jane black box, it's just an empty old black box that you fill up. But again, nobody's walking in with this. So this is going to impress people right from Jump Street. You can put in your black box whatever you want. Do listing agreement, marketing, which we'll talk more in depth about, your CMA, testimonials. So your presentation can be whatever you want it to be, what the components are, but you should walk in with a $50,000 looking presentation. Because not only is it what you're going to use to review with your clients, you're showing your level of your brand and of your marketing. So if Bob from Windermere walks in, I don't think I have any Bobs on the line. If Bob from Windermere walks in with a folder and Yvonne walks in with a black box from John L. Scott, I'm going to remember Yvonne just based on that picture in my head. I'm going to trust Yvonne's marketing, even though I might not have ever seen a sample flyer or anything, because she walked in with her A game. So I'm a big believer in something tangible, something, a black box or something like a black box makes a big difference. Customizing the pages, you don't give those away. It just becomes your presentation piece. Okay. Any questions about that? So don't get mad. Oh, go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, I got, are you leaving this black box with the seller when you leave, or are you taking your black box with you?
Well, I think it depends on the presentation. And I think you can do both. So if you're using your Exceptional Homes and you're going after a luxury listing, you can leave it, give it to them, pick it up in a couple days. Rashay, that's kind of her trick, is she'll go back to the house to pick up her box. But you should have a couple. If it's just the regular plain black box, I'm more inclined to leave that with them. I've went back to clients' homes and I'll see my black box up on their shelf because they end up putting their, if they're doing pre-inspection, their contract, they tend to keep it and use it for storage for whatever transpired in the transaction.
Right.
So with all that fun excitement, don't jump onto Bear Printing and try to order a black box right now, because there are some supply chain issues. At Renton, we have our store up front, and I think we have like 5 left. So just throwing that out there. The other thing, and this is a little bit harder for veteran brokers, I'm going to do a screen share, but is the John L. Scott Selling Guide. Okay. And I know most of you have all seen this, but again, this is upping your A game. So use the Selling Guide. That's it. It's so professional looking. You can go through each page if you want. I personally don't want to go through each page. Okay. But I do leave them with a book. And that is very professional. This is something that would go into the black box. One of the pages that I think is most beneficial is, where's this page? Is going through the process. Even if it's a veteran seller, it's so important to go through the process so they know what to expect. Okay. With this, a lot of people will use this as a pre-listing pack, and they will deliver it before, they'll email it before, or you can put it in your black box, okay? If you're a newer broker on a budget, you can print the PDF for free. You can email it, so you don't have to buy the book. Now, part of one of my favorite pieces of a listing presentation, and I'm trying to get to the right page, is the listing launch. Let me find the right page. Okay. So for some of the veteran brokers, and I say this with love, but I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like, oh, John L. Scott listing launch. I get my listings on my sparkly personality, my knowledge, my experience. That's what people are talking to me for. And you are right. That is what people want to talk to you about. However, the listing launch is a point of difference, okay? This, in my opinion, is one of the pieces that will add the most value to your presentation. So if you let the seller know how you're going to market the property, okay? And we'll get into start to finish presentation, but I wanted to start with tools first. No one else talks about the listing launch. Okay, no one uses that phrase. It is trademarked to John L. Scott. And we all talk about, we're going to do back-to-back open houses. We're going to be market ready day one. We are going to go through and blast market your home and get as many people through the property from a Thursday to a Monday or whatever your days are. We cannot ever guarantee multiple offers. But Mr. and Mrs. Seller, my goal is to get as many people in to maximize the chances of multiple offers. Now, here, in my opinion, is the key. Now you talk about leveraging listings. And for some of us that have been in the business for a really long time, we don't pull the curtain back and let the seller know, and we don't share what goes on behind the scenes. But this is part of creating your value. So to be able to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if we do all of this marketing, we maximize the exposure of your home, and we get 5 or 8 offers, where I come in, where my area of expertise is leveraging offers. And what that means is I'm going to call offer B and let them know that offer A has a higher price. And if we can get their price up to this, it would put them in first position. And then I'm going to call offer C, and I'm going to let them know that if they include a 22 AD in the event of a low appraisal, that could potentially put them in. And you go through a picture, paint the picture for your seller. So what this is doing is showing value. It's letting them know why you are a full service broker, what they are paying for. And I tell people, you could put a dog with a for sale sign in your front yard and you're going to have an offer over the weekend. To get offers. You are paying me to market your home, to get as many buyers in the door as possible, to generate as many offers as possible, so I can leverage them against one another, so I can get the highest price and the best terms for you. Thoughts, questions, comments? Did I scare you?
I'm terrified.
Finally, Tim. But that's so important when we're talking about Redfins and discount brokers, discount firms, the marketing they're getting that I'll sell your home at 1%. Those people, those brokers, put your home on the market and accept an offer. That's not what I do. What I do is a very different picture, but you have to paint that picture for them to know. Questions? All right. Scripting is very important, okay? Now, for a lot of the veterans on the call, you guys already know this, right? Because we grew up in a real estate market of Mike Ferry, where there was a script for everything. I actually looked at yesterday Mike Ferry's listing presentation script, and it was like, oh my gosh, it's not relevant to today's market at all, because it was so like beat the seller down. And it just doesn't work that way right now. That's just not how things are. Another sample of what I'll show you, there's more than just John L. Scott ways of doing things. You can create your own presentation for yourself. All this is a PowerPoint, right? You could do all about you. Whoever was at the company meeting a few Tuesdays ago, Robin Root's first slide was a quote from the Beatles. So it can be whatever you want it to be. She has a Meet Yolanda, just all about her. She talks about marketing direct, professional photography. Again, all this is a talking point, okay? Your value comes in by you speaking about the slide. She talks about virtual tours, mobile exposure. I love this slide. It's not marketing, it's mobile. This slide is one of my favorites. Whoever you work for, whatever firm you have, if your listing goes on the MLS, it is syndicated to all these different sites, but nobody talks about it. So having something like this that will just tell people what you're doing, even if you're competing with Windermere, it's going to be the same thing, but are they going to talk about it? That's the question.
Shai, do John L. Scott have something like that for us? Or will we...
I will share it with you when it's done. So we have one and it's outdated. So I have my staff working on it right now. So I'm hoping to have it done by next week. Talking about different networks, guarantees, selling for the right price. Again, P-Box. There's an agent that I know and love in this office, and I'll never forget this. It was probably about 5 years ago. He lost the listing. He didn't get the listing. And I couldn't believe it because the Windermere broker that got it was not nearly as good. And when he called and he asked the seller why they went with someone else, the seller said, well, they're going to put my home on the MLS and have a key box. Well, everyone does that. But the broker did not have it on his presentation. So they just thought it didn't work that way. So even the littlest of things create value. Okay. So you can, client testimonials, super powerful. So you can even take a version of the John L. Scott seller guide and like brand it to yourself. You can do it however you want, but you have to have something. Now I say this with love, but I'm kind of a hard ass. If I'm paying you to come in and market my home, but you're not dazzling me with the marketing of yourself, it's not really in alignment. So you should practice your presentation. When you go in there, you should sound like butter, because the more smooth and confident that you are when you're speaking to me, the more confidence you're giving me. All right, we're going to talk about 1-step versus 2-step presentations, okay? 1 step is you get in there and it's one and done. I want the contract signed. Lots of brokers do it that way. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way. I personally want to do a 2-step. I want to go in there and let the seller know, I've never seen your house. I have a general idea what it's worth. Most of us are going to know already in our head, but you can't say that because you've never seen the home. But I want a reason to go back. But in real estate, we all do things differently. I'm a relationship person. I want to deepen this relationship. I want to bond with the people because I don't just want to sell their home. I want to be someone they refer to forever. So when you're doing a listing, it is more than just that listing. Okay. Any questions, comments so far? All right. So now we're going to jump into the actual appointment. Okay. Do you look like you're worth $50,000 when you go to an appointment? Okay. Are you wearing jeans and flannels? Sure. If you're going to sell an equestrian property and you're going to be walking land, there is an appropriate attire for that. But like Robin Root said, whether somebody's buying I used to say $60,000 condo, but those don't exist anymore. But if somebody's selling a studio condo versus a luxury home, are you giving the presentation? Are you giving the same value? Are you showing up appearance-wise the same? That's really important because it's your brand. Even if it's a $300,000 condo, for all you know, their parents or their best friend could have the luxury home. So make sure you're showing up with your A game. Sellers are going to want to walk you through their home. Take notes. Don't sit down first. Always go see the house first. Compliment their home. Don't walk through and be silent Sally. This is your time to look at the home, build rapport, give them compliments, jot down any notes for feedback that you need to give them. Check to see, do they have double straps on their hot water heater? Do they have smoke, CO2 detectors and smoke detectors? And if you're walking through and you're taking these notes, you're elevating your professionalism, because most other people are just walking through getting the lay of the land. So take your time when it comes to walking through the home. If you take photos, you need to ask permission. For my newer folks, double straps on hot water heaters and CO2 detectors are going to be appraisal items. So even if a person has a 20% down conventional loan, those two things would be called on an appraisal. So now you've walked through the home and you're going to sit. And they say, do you want to sit at the formal dining room table or should we sit in the kitchen? Which do you prefer? Who has the right answer? Quasi,
Table,
welcome. Shay Shay, what?
Diner kitchen.
table. I sit at the kitchen table so I can spread out all of my presentation.
But why the kitchen table versus the formal dining room?
I feel more comfortable. It feels homey in there. You feel like you're an invited guest.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Family sits at the kitchen table.
Mhm. But if they
So-
don't have one, I mean, we go to the dining room table, but I prefer the kitchen table because it just feels more intimate.
And that's 100% right. Some brokers walk in and they're a little too stiffy. You know what I mean? You want to have dialogue. You want a conversation, you know? You bring your A game, but your goal is to be part of the family. Your goal is to build rapport, is to get to know them. So you sit down at the table, you find out their why. Why are they moving? Why do I care why they're moving? I'm just here to sell your house, right? Why is it so important to find out why they're moving?
You need the motivation.
Exactly.
What's their why? Is it because they're retiring? Is it because they're selling? They need to go take care of their mother in Oklahoma. The house is too big for them. It could be an illness. There could be all type of reasons, but finding out the why gives you the motivation to know how serious they are about selling the home. Because if they say to you, well, the market is hot and I want to take advantage and I want to sell my house for $1 million and their house is really only worth $750,000. Well, in this market, they might be able to get an extra 300, but you want to find out the why and the motivation of why they're selling the home.
Yep, that's exactly right. I mean, she knows, but it is to find out how serious they are. Now, remember everybody, especially for newer folks, y'all have been in a really awesome market for quite a while. And one day there's going to be a little shift. And people with a serious why have to sell. When you are listing a home, it is time and energy and money that you are investing. And you don't want to put an investment into somebody that wants to overprice their home just to see what it's going to sell for, because they may not have serious motivation to move. But if they're retiring, if it's a job transfer, you know how serious this move is. Then you follow it up with, when would that be? Because I could say I want to move to Arizona, but I might not really have any time frame behind it. Maybe it's a want to move to Arizona versus my job is transferring me there and I'm moving in 2 months. So it's going to change the type of conversation you have with these people. It is going to give you insight about what their going towards, what their life looks like. You can also ask wherever it is they're going, they need an agent. And if you aren't licensed in Arizona, then you should refer them a broker that's going to offer the same level of cares that you're offering them here. So just that little question is going to give you so much information about what they're doing, okay? I recommend pulling up another slide here. And all of these things we can send out. Having questions, okay? If you bring questions, you are a lot less likely to forget certain things. Now, I'm not a fan of asking every single question. You don't want this to be a 3-hour meeting, but I always want to know what they like about their home. I always want to know about improvements with their home, because that's when they're going to tell me that they put a new roof on 2 years ago. And now I know I can market a newer roof. Having something like this and taking notes is very powerful. And again, this is now contributing to your value of why you are a full service broker, okay? You need to care more than just the bedroom, bathroom, square footage, fully fenced backyard, okay? Marketing now is kind of creating an experience. And you want to be able to sell that experience. I mean, all your damn cameras are off. But for those that are on, who has been to 10 trails in Black Diamond? So you should check it out, because I mean, and I say this with love. I sold my brother-in-law a house there. Is not my jam, right? It's not a Shy Bundy kind of living situation. Shy Bundy needs privacy. But you have to know about it, because people love the lifestyle. They have Facebook pages. They're putting a whole commercial area in there. You could literally not leave that little area once it's done. And even though that's not my lifestyle, I have to know about it. So if I list a home in there, that I'm selling part of this lifestyle. Okay. So it's really important. School districts, if they have kids, what do they think about the school districts? What are the schools? You can find all that stuff out. But as you're having these conversations, you're deepening the relationship. And again, even if these are your database people, you need to show them your A game. So if they refer you to a friend, they know you always bring your A game. CMA. Tell me what you guys bring. What do you use for your CMA?
Cloud CMA.
Cloud CMA. Perfect. Does anybody else use anything different?
I just use the multiple.
That's why we're up in your game, Mr. O'Neill.
All right, man. Well, I got to know how to do this.
So I'm super old school, right? I live and breathe with the MLS, because that's how my brain works. That's the information I trust. So I believe you need to do your CMA on the MLS. Whatever works for your brain. I like agent detailed reports with all of the photos in color. I like to write my notes all over and make it messy, because that's what's going to speak to me in the presentation. But what I present to the people is something pretty, because my MLS ugly notes are not pretty. So Cloud CMA, all you have to do is get on my desk, click on Cloud CMA, truly just type in their name and address and the MLS numbers you want to use. That's it. You don't have to go through and get all into using this different kind of platform. There's way more pages than this. So I recommend you get on Cloud CMA, look at a whole presentation and decide what pages you like or you don't like. I love this page. What's a CMA? If you are a newer broker and you're stumbling with how to describe what a CMA is, just read this. I love the map function, right? This will show you, oh, here's the subject property. And here are the comparables. Then it summarizes the list of comparables, okay? Now, in a market like this, comparable properties can be a little tough. So for the veteran people, we already know this, but you have to be really careful with the sold price of a comp, a comparable home from January, February. January, February was a little bit bonkers. And in this conversation, going through your CMA with people in today's market in the next few months, this is the perfect time to help set the seller expectation. Because I heard about some crazy offers. I'm sure you all did in January, February, even going into a little bit of March. And you're going to put Bob's home on the market, and Bob's going to get 5 offers and go for $50,000 over price. But Bob's going to wonder, why did Susie's house down the street get 15 offers and sell for $82,000 over price in February? So when you're going through these comparables, it's a great time to make sure you're looking at the date of when that home sold and setting their expectations about today's market versus yesterday's market. Or maybe the home sold in November, December, which again is a different market. Comps usually go back 6 months. And for us old timers, that's just how it's always been. Well, now the market has drastically changed in 30 days. Interest rates have went up, you know, we're hitting almost the point since January. So that's going to impact a little bit of the market. Active homes tell you your competition. Pending homes tell us at what price it caused this home to sell. Now, we all know that pretty much everything that goes on the market is going to be pending in a minute. Call the pending listing brokers. I think agents share more information now than they've ever shared in my career. But I just put a home on the market in Cherokee Bay a couple weeks ago. And there was a pending, and the broker shared with me that it sold for, it listed for 600, sold for 650. Mine wasn't as nice and a little bit smaller. So I told my people, I think they'll get around 635, if not more. Well, we got 2 offers and it was a 650. But I prepared them because the other one was listed at 6. We have no idea where it's coming in at. So it's so important. Again, this is you bringing your value versus a 1% broker that would have no idea what these pending homes are going for. Telling the seller, I called the pendings. I heard from these 2, but this one didn't respond. Just speaking it is showing how you go above and beyond for what you're going to do for your client. And then again, sold properties tell you the final price, but be very, very careful of that date. Something else that I think is a very powerful phrase, and it goes way back, I don't remember if it's Tom Ferry or Mike Ferry, but the market value is determined by the price a buyer is willing to pay. Because you will have these sellers that are like, what do you mean I only got 50,000? I wanted 100,000 above list price. And it's powerful to know, for them to know upfront how the value of a home is determined. I can tell you it's worth $2 million, but if nobody's willing to pay that amount, it doesn't mean diddly squat. Going through the CMA is also a great time to talk about the condition. Their own take on this. There's no right or wrong. There are brokers that will use paint and carpet and flooring and remodel, and I cannot give you advice on doing that or not. It's if things need to be addressed, landscaping, roof cleaning, all of that, after you're going through the CMA is a really great time because they're looking at photos of the comparable home. Now, if this house, well, you can do this two ways. This is the great time to bring up the Market Ready program. So for those of you, just a brief catch up, upon approval, upon doing so many listings, John L. Scott will advance the seller the funds to get their home market ready. Okay, I'm giving you the super simple definition of what the program is about. Now, I know brokers that offer this on every single listing. I know brokers that only offer this where people are tight on cash, but equity rich, right? They have a lot of equity in their home, but not a lot of money in their pockets. Again, another deposit into the bucket of you being a full service broker. Not everybody's bringing up these options. Okay, questions so far? We haven't fun yet? All right, now let's talk about your marketing plan. I know a lot of brokers that are like, well, the house is going to sell this weekend. So do they really need to know? So I have two marketing plans for you. I sold this one from Tom Ferry many, many years ago, and it was like 90. And this is every little thing that can be done for marketing your home. I mean, you should have that you're going to install a key box. You should explain what a key box does. You should have that it's going to go on the MLS. You should have every little thing that you're going to do. Because again, if I'm paying $45,000 in commission, I need to know what I'm paying for. And I need to know when you tell me that you're going to maximize the exposure of my home, you actually mean it. So we have this 90-point marketing plan of what you're going to do. There is a little bit more of a, sorry. A simple plan if you want to scale down that 90, or like Robin Root shared. Can you see Robin Root's? Is that screen sharing?
Yes.
Okay. So Robin Root stops hers at 22, but she really goes through, I mean, she even puts on here that she'll caption every photo. And again, I'm super old school, but I think that's really powerful. And it's powerful to tell them what you're going to do, because you can point out going through the CMA that these don't have captions. This is what you get when you list with Redfin. And all these little things matter to get you the highest price and the best terms. So if you don't share an actual marketing plan or a calendar, That's something you really need to do. Any questions so far?
Yeah, I have a question about staging. How much do you get into staging a home? I know lots of some agents, this is what they're all about, and others, they don't really, but anyway, staging.
I don't think there's like a right or wrong answer to that. I mean, I think it's like everything else. You know, it's like, do I put a flyer box on, no flyer, or a perma flyer? I think higher end properties, larger square footage, benefit greatly from being staged. Properties with maybe unique floor plans really are benefited from being staged. Now, if it is a vacant 2-story, pretty traditional home, Rambler, something along those lines, and it's in alignment with the other comparable properties, I personally probably wouldn't advise them to spend the money on that. Some agents use the Market Ready program for staging. I am a believer that I bring the options and I give them my advice, but they decide on how they want to spend their money. Does that help?
Yeah, I guess so, in the sense that some agents have gone all out to they have staging stored somewhere and they bring it in and whatever else, but do you use services to do that?
Yeah, so, and I say this with love because I know some people on here have had these storage places. I want to be a doctor. I don't want to be a nurse. I don't want to take blood pressure. I don't want to take thermometer, your temperature. I want to be an expert in selling homes. I'm not a stager or a painter or a landscaper or a contractor. And I know there are brokers out there that offer this as part of their package, but I do think it diminishes your production if you're spending time moving furniture. I think it may diminish your reputation a little bit because I don't want to be out there moving furniture. So again, everyone's going to run their business how they want to. But if my client was going to stage a home, it is not going to be not me doing it. Now I have brought in people where the property is furnished, it's occupied, and I want someone to come in and let's move some furniture around. Now I've taken lots of staging classes. I do okay, but that's not my area of expertise. Rashay, what are your thoughts? You're muted.
On staging?
Mm-hmm.
Unique floor plans, as you said, I think sometimes calls for staging. I think in this market, I think it's the market that we're going into now. You should definitely consider staging if you have a unique floor plan. The market that I think that we might be leaving when we were in the January, February last year, you might not need to do staging. But I also think too, it just depends on the seller. Sometimes the seller really wants staging. Because they're looking at HGTV and they're like, we should stage the house. And so it depends on what the seller wants to do. And like you said, if they want to pay for it, they can. You can recommend the Market Ready program for them. I have actually paid for some staging if I'm competing for a listing. I don't necessarily think that you need to stage the whole house, but I will definitely stage the main areas of the home, maybe a master bedroom. So it just really depends, but you should know as an agent walking in if a house needs staging or not. I don't stage a fixer, that's for sure. It's a waste of money. And I've seen that before and it's a complete waste, And I've seen people actually spend $4,000 or $5,000 on staging, and you don't need that either. Just be smart about it and really advise the client on see what they're looking for.
Darcy?
I think it's all house dependent. I think that I do staging a lot, but typically if somebody has beautiful taste and their home shows well, you don't need it. If it's a vacant home and it's kind of banged up, but yet it's not a fixer, it makes all the difference in the world, is what I think. So typically, like I've got one coming up where it's kind of banged up and it needs some love. It probably needs paint, it probably needs carpet, but you know what? I'm going to go in there, I'm going to stage it, and I'll probably get over asking and it'll show really, really well. And I'm terrible about taking before pictures, but I have gone into houses that look like a frat boy, you know, a frat lives there. And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, this is cute. So I hate it. I absolutely hate doing it, but I'm good at it and it always benefits the seller. So that's why I do it.
Yeah, and it makes a difference. And I'm a big
Yes.
believer in feeling. And when you walk in and the house feels cold and it, you know, especially if it's more of a traditional home or a wonky floor plan and you need to help people visualize, it has such a big impact.
Shy, this is Yvonne. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I agree with Darcy and Roche. One of the things that I wanted to be able to do was offer staging consultation with my clients. So I'm able to, you know, I have my two that I, you know, every time I have a presentation, I can say my staging consultant will be in touch with you. And it's not necessarily to stage per se, but just to give the clients, you know, because they're asking, should I paint this wall? Should I do this? I am not the expert. So let me have my staging consultant come in and she'll walk you through, you know, maybe some furniture replacement or what to get rid of or what to fix. But this way it's them talking to, like you said, I'm not a staging professional. I don't want to be a staging professional. So by offering that service, they're excited and they, you know, and they feel a lot more comfortable that they really do have a professional coming out to speak with them. And, you know, both of who I have will add furniture or pieces to kind of help them or do a full or none. They'll let them know. So if anybody's just curious, that's one of the things I think I would look into is finding a staging consultant who you can call anytime to meet with your clients. And I don't have to pay for it if they do any staging at all. So it's pretty reasonable.
That's great. That's the thing, you guys, you don't feel like you have to go in, and I'm not a contractor, but I know lots of them. And if my seller's telling me something's broken or we need to work on it, I'm going to help connect them. Again, creating value, but you don't have to be the answer to every prayer. You have to help make the connection. So wrapping it up with the paperwork wise, okay? So I went through, I looked at the home, we did the CMA, I'm talking about my marketing, showing how I add value. Then you need to bring out your net proceeds, okay? And I know for some of us newer folks, this can be the scary part, but a net proceeds is powerful. People need to know, what are they paying for? I believe you should come prepared with a few net proceeds. Now, if you're doing a two-step listing presentation where you're just talking about things, you're going through the CMA, and you can tell people, I brought some preliminary information, but I need to go fine-tune my CMA after I viewed your home, and then I can come back. You can do your net proceeds whenever it's most comfortable for you. Again, the more confident you sound, the less that you stumble around, the more confidence they will feel from you. So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, commission 6%. You have escrow, title, prorated tax. Then you have excise tax, and you can explain about excise tax. Excise tax is pretty big. A lot of people get hung up on that. I figured in your mortgage balance from when we talked on the phone. There's a few doc prep fees, and this is what your numbers will look like. So you should bring a range. So if they're like, what if I sell it for this? Or what if I sell it for that? It is what it is. Okay. So you go in there and you sound confident. There are lots of commission objection handlers. The goal that you should have is from the time I walk in the door, or if you do a pre-listing packet, you get the phone call, bring your A game. All of those things that we just talked about are making deposits into the bank of I'm a full service broker. And being a full service broker and providing the professional photography and the drone footage and the floor plans and all the things that I just went through. That's why the fee is this. Now there are different strategies, okay? Not good or bad, but there are some brokers that will say my fee, and I like to say John L. Scott, is 3%, but you can decide what you want to pay the buyer broker. And you can look at comparables. I know in Pierce County, 2.5% kind of become the norm. So I believe that you go in with this is what your standard is. And if you have to make adjustments, that's your decision. Talk to your manager about that. But when you bring your A game, when you show your sample marketing pieces, when you talk about your plan for highest price and best term, you'd be really surprised. A lot of people are like, wow, I get what I'm paying for now. I don't even need to talk about it. Questions? If you are really nervous about commission objections, there are some old school scripts that I still use today. There's the whole script about I'm an expert negotiator. I don't adjust my commission, but have faith that I will negotiate this strong for the price and terms on your home. So there's all kinds of ways to handle it, but if you do the upfront work, it's going to minimize that objection. Going through the listing contract is very powerful. Explaining the seller disclosure, leaving the seller disclosure with them will have a huge impact because a lot of brokers aren't doing that. So you're really giving them a start to a finish. Okay, so we're going to talk about some of the questions that I may or may not have answered. So we talked a little bit about objections in cutting commissions. Competition, when you're going on an appointment with competition versus a referral or a database, like I kind of said in the beginning, I believe you should bring your A game to every appointment because that's what's going to maximize your referrals. If they always see you as professional, and I've sold to my best friends, and I'll even say, okay, I'm going to put my professional hat on for a few minutes because I want them to know when they refer me that they get the best me, not the friend me. And I think that's very powerful. Tech virtual resources. Great question, Sarah. There is obviously some of the simple things like the Facebook Boost. That's super powerful. A lot of people are doing live video, Matterport, posting the video. You can do video in different ways. I know a lot of brokers will do like a full-on professional video virtual tour and they'll market that. But then when they go for their open house, they turn the camera around and just kind of walk through very casually. So I would love to hear from other people. Are there other virtual resources that you're using?
I actually bought one of the 360 cameras.
Mhm.
And so I do it myself, and it does not do the floor plan. So that's kind of a bummer because I know people like to see the floor plan, but it does connect the rooms. I don't think it's as good as Matterport, but I think that the virtual tour is. So,
Nice.
and it's easy. It's really
How long
easy.
does that take, Darcy?
Oh my gosh. I do it while the photographer's there, and I just go into different rooms, and but if the photographer wasn't there, it would probably take me 10 minutes.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, it's so quick and easy.
Anyone else? All right. I think last, Cecile, when you are a new broker, how do you get over that objection? Now, I say this with love to all my newbies. Nobody wants to be a guinea pig. And nobody wants to pay $30 or $40 or $50,000 to be a guinea pig. So it is imperative that you bring your mentor, because your mentor and yourself are partners. A few years ago, we had a broker who had closed 5 buyer deals. Okay, she was fantastic. She went on her first listing appointment. Luckily, she brought her mentor, Karen Jackson, and they walk in, and it's a beautiful house. But they step inside, and it's a hoarder house. It's on a septic, and they're getting divorced. Now, even if the newer broker would have done 10 buyer transactions, she would not known how to maneuver these conversations. So it's very important that sellers feel knowledge and expertise, and they will feel that from a mentor. So you have to bring your mentor. Otherwise, there's going to be a learning curve, and you'll get one, but it might cost you a lot of money to get that. All right. Well, that pretty much concludes the class. Does anybody have any questions? I see some chats in here. No?
Hi, Shai.
Hi, Miss Grace.
Hi, I got a question. For the market ready program, what is the maximum money they can, borrow from John L. Scott?
John L. Scott uses an equation, and it's not a hard set number, but it all depends on how much equity is in the house. So they see if there's anything owed. They do a title search to make sure there are no liens, and then a value of the property. And roughly, it's a percentage of the equity of the property.
Okay.
So we've had Savannah Scott from the Bellevue office just did one on like a $2.5 million home. So it doesn't have to be just a fixer, but for the approval process, there needs to be enough equity.
Does that approval process affect the sellers like credit score, or if they already under some mortgage or under the mortgage application, does that, affect their, income and debt ratio?
Well, so there's two programs. So the John L. Scott will advance you the funds. It can be roughly around 3%, but there is a bit of risk for the broker involved, where it's a very easy approval process. Broker and seller can take care of all planning and using the contractors they want. But if something does happen and the people cancel or the deal falls apart, essentially, if the seller doesn't pay it back, the broker could be on the hook for that. There's also a second program with ZingFix, and ZingFix will offer you a lot more. It's more of a loan, but the seller has to meet a credit score requirement, but you have nothing to do with it at that time. So if the deal falls apart, it's between the seller and ZingFix, and they take care of it. John L. Scott's an advancement, not a loan, because now we don't have to comply with RESPA. ZingFix is more of a loan.
So if the buyer don't want change their income debt ratio, the John Scott advance loan will be a good choice. Or if you think the seller probably have higher risk to be not a responsible person, and the ZingFix will be a better choice. Am I right?
Correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And if you have more questions on any of this that we've went through, let me know. So we just got a chat from Michelle Tafoya. She's having some audio issues. She's tried boosting a couple different ways, just boosting the listing or website, or versus boosting her open house. She has gotten more exposure boosting her open house. So she just wanted to share. Thank you. Share that. All right. Any other questions?
I got one real quick.
All right.
So actually I might have a couple. So the ZingFix, is that a soft pull on their credit?
I believe so. I'd have to double check.
Okay. And then
and it's pretty low too. I want to say it was like $650 or something. And that's only if it exceeds $5,000.
Okay. And then the other question was, did you already cover like pre-qualifying? Because I was a little late for the video. Did you already go through that, or was this just about the appointment?
So it was just about the appointment, but definitely talking about finding out their motivation. And then we have the listing questions, because a lot of people do it different. Pre-qualifying back in the day. Now, if you get a seller on the hook, I recommend getting in front of their face. Just because back in the day, it was a little bit different with a listing. Right now, unless there's something crazy about this property or the seller's crazy about their price, you need to get in front of them to get that home on the market.
So are you recommending one step, two step? What do you? Because I mean, if you don't pre-qual, you're kind of going in blind.
You are going in blind, and you do a pre-qualification, I think, on the phone, finding out more about the house and their why in a little bit. But I think in the world we came from, where things were a little bit slower moving, to right now, everything is just zippity quick. Now, if you're somebody like Moose Math, who I love and respect deeply, Moose is a one and done appointment guy. Somebody like me, even like a Riche, we like a two-step, because once I get this client, especially if it's a new person, not in my database, I need to spend every opportunity I can to deepen this relationship to maximize potential referrals. So I look at it so much more than just a listing appointment. It's like, I got new meat to work with, to get referrals from. So
Gotcha. Okay.
any other questions? All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much. And if you need anything or want any slides, just reach out and let everybody know. Let the staff know and they'll get those to you.
So Shy, for the
Yes.
the intake forms you had on there, I just need to reach out to.
Oh, well, if you let me know what you're looking for, I can just email it to you right now.
You had that 2-sheet questionnaire for just talking to the sellers to find out their motivation.
Yep.
You,
I can send that to you right now.
thank you, ma'am.
All right. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you very much.
All right. Bye.